Heading into turn 3 and air superiority battle did not go as well this time as in turn 2 for the Allies. Lots of abort die results for the Allies. Not as many for the Chinese fighters, but they threw a lot of their strike fighters into the mix, not wanting to concede anything. Fighters that I normally would like to reserve back for strikes, I threw them into the air fight, and that paid off for China to do that. All right, what I wanted to shoot in this video is just a little bit of instruction about, let me just adjust my lighting a little bit. There we go. I wanted to talk about control, naval control, because some players find this really confusing. In the air naval phase, one of the things you're going to do is you're going to check the inshore boxes to see who controls inshore boxes. Now, not all the sea areas have them. The areas that have inshore boxes are the Spratly Islands group, Central China Sea, Taiwan Straits, East China Sea, and the Ryukyu Islands. So, to check and find out which inshore boxes you got to roll for on the control table is if the person who controls the main sea area is different than who controls the inshore box, then you roll for that inshore box. So the Allies, you can see from the Taiwan flag, the Allies are going to be in control of Spratly Islands, so there's going to have to be a die roll made for the inland or inshore group because the Chinese control that inshore group. So if this was a Chinese flag here, then we would not need to roll for that. But because it's allied, we do need to roll to see who controls that. So we're going to roll for that one for sure. We don't need to roll for this one. They match. We don't need to roll for this one. They match. We do need to roll for the Ryukyus because the Senkaku's inshore boxes are contested. There's no control marker there. So basically, if the marker out here and the marker here match, you don't have to roll. If it's any other situation, then you do roll for that inshore box. So we're going to roll for that one. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to roll for the Marianas and the northern approaches and the Ryukyus if they're not already allied control. So you always get to roll for those if they're not allied control. And that basically symbolizes allied submarine activity, gaining control of those waters, etc. You also will always roll for the Spratly Islands group, no matter who controls it at the start. You're always going to test that every single turn, the main sea area. Okay, and you do that after you've done all of the inshore die rolls, okay? There's errata in the game series rulebook, but if you check the errata, you find that you also always roll for the Taiwan Strait. So that's why the Chinese got to keep some naval vessels posted out here in order to try to help secure that. Now, there are things that you can do to influence the die roll. The outcome of the air superiority rolls will impact those die rolls. But only in the areas like South China Sea, Taiwan Strait, areas near where the air superiority battle is taking place over a pretty wide area. And so only in those areas will that die roll apply if one side gets air superiority. The Chinese can also use cruise missile points to influence the die roll. You're basically spending a cruise missile point to affect the die roll in your favor. And again, you have to use launch platforms. You can't just spend the cruise missile point. You do have to spend or use one of your H-8 bombers in order to make that work in your favor. So just to recap, first thing you do is you check all the inshore boxes. If the flags do not match, or if there's no flag in the inshore box, you do have to test that. And so here, we don't have to test this. Here, we have control of the Senkakus is the Allies, but the inshore box is contested, so we do have to test that one. So we're going to check for 2 inshore boxes, and then we're going to check the Taiwan Straits and the Spratly Islands. We will test those for control, and the outcome of that, again, will be influenced by vessels in that area and the outcome of the air superiority battle and any cruise missile shots that the PRC wants to use. So that's just hopefully something to kind of clear the fog a little bit about how this works. Sometimes when you're reading it in the rule book, it's like, man, this is confusing. But once you kind of see it on the table, it makes sense. And so the bottom line is this is going to be a fluid situation And it symbolizes the fluctuations in control of those areas. And again, this is a part of the game that's very much abstracted, as opposed to what's happening on this map, which is much more literal. So hopefully that's helpful to you, and we'll see how turn 3 develops in our next video.